Well, good day. It is November 18th, 2021. Today, I'm going to speak about masking has unmasked their plan. We are now almost 2 years into the psychological and bioweapons attack on the world. I've been thinking about all the goings on since it began and the remarkable consequences, both intended and unintended, that have ensued since. One of these unintended consequences, I'm sure on their part, has been others and my own growing understanding of the machinations currently at work and their apparent myriad goals to destroy the very fabric of most of the world's societies and cultures for their own gains of power, fiat currency, and ritual sacrifice, which is clearly murder of those they consider to be in their way. In other words, those of us that refuse compliance, complacency, and suicide, and thus genocide. We are now at the overfalls of a long-planned and well-orchestrated massive collapse, which we will be successful if, and only if, we allow it by our collective refusal to stop it, by our collective compliance and subservience. We will be responsible for this implosion of our societies, us and us alone. Again, by our collective compliance and subservience, we will be and are responsible for this implosion of our societies. It is us, those of us who are complying, who are being subservient, who are being submissive. There is no redeemer arriving from the clouds to pluck us from the brink. There is no political, and I'm going to tell you the root of political. Poly means many, and ticks, bloodsucker. So there's no political entity wearing a white hat coming to throw us a rope at the last minute and pull us all to safety. There is no one but ourselves that can or should do this. The only attributes required are our own individual courage, our individual intelligence, a keen and elegant mind, and the ability to see through the madness sweeping over our beautiful home, this place in nature upon which we stand and walk, and where we find joy and fulfillment. And I'm going to share a little secret with you. Each and every one of us has these attributes of intelligence, a keen and elegant mind, and the ability to see through the madness if we so choose to do so. If, however, we wait and wait for someone to save us, well, I can assure you the results will be the same as what we saw in the 1917 Bolshevik Revolution, Mao's China, and Pol Pot's destruction of hundreds of millions, to name but a few choice examples of the same kettle of fish in which we find ourselves today. Hello again, I'm Kathleen Dudley with another tutorial, the intent of which is to speak my mind about ideas and potential directions to investigate regarding how we might meet this fight and how to maneuver our collective enemy into subjugation and eradication. We are in it now. We are at war. As obfuscation, confusion, and absurdities are reaching beyond fever pitch, the media, I mean the purveyors of puppetry and lies, are targeting our children, and thus are ever more and more in the sights of these demented and very sick creatures, as you've likely seen via alternative video sharing sites, some of which, of course, are controlled opposition. So please use deep discernment and watch my Odyssey and YouTube presentation on controlled opposition. It might shock you. Certainly, I hope it will. These masters are using children's shows such as the Muppet characters and poison companies that pay for commercials, whoring unsuspecting youngsters to fantasize themselves as superheroes put on Earth to save everyone else by accepting a genocidal kill compound. I've not seen anything that sinks to such a depth of disgusting depravity. It's truly incredible, to say the least. And so I ask loudly, where are the parents? How can the parents of these children, both the actors and the unwitting recipients of their visual poison, that is nothing more than an extremely coercive and profound mind and social behavior control technology, be silent, be compliant? Why do you, as parents of these wee innocents, fight to keep your children enrolled in government schools? You know that fish swim in schools. These schools are designed to create nothing more than obedient little automatons, being designed to produce almost nothing for the entirety of their lives. And this is not who they are. They are brilliant, intelligent, capable, creative, conscious beings being torn down to the lowest of mediocrity. This is the education you want. This is the health you want. The American poet Kenneth Patchen wrote, and I quote, "Yours is the health of the pig that would root up the very ground that would give him food," unquote. All of this would stop yesterday if everyone stood freely of their fear, stood up like men and women with spines, and stopped complying with the myriad stupid and demented rules the vermin running this scam are offering us. Yes, I said offering. There are no laws, only rules, regulations, invitations, and asinine suggestions that are couched under the visage of being something you have to do. And we, being taught to comply. These entities only have power, as countless others, and I have already said, because you give it to them. I cannot stress this enough. These entities are mocking you. These entities are mocking me, all of us. I imagine the ones running these shows laugh in their hideous cackling at the incredulity of how pliable we've come to their insane satanic ideas. I have asked, where are the men? I ask, where are the women? I ask, where are we? What has happened that each evil has been allowed in? That such evil has been allowed in to infect so deeply the very fabric of our lives? I think it is the result of many, many generations of excessive mind co-optation, control, and manipulation. A sense that what once took place could and would not happen. The me generation? Yes, I think so. We were trained to think only about ourselves and to live within that myopic state of existence. The wars, so many have sacrificed themselves to fight in, to defend freedom, or whatever else they were told they were doing, were all planned and schemed and orchestrated to continue their murderous campaigns of death. Cannon fodder comes to mind. Our young men, our viral men, those at the beginning of their lives. Each and every one of these wars was exactly like the one we're involved in now. Only the details of how the battling is orchestrated is different. No tanks in the streets, paratroopers from planes overhead. Today's war is about technology, computers, Wi-Fi, cell towers, cell phones, skies thick with chemicals from drones, people with no authority acting as government, while duping those asleep with their false power. Those wars of the past and this one today had and have nothing to do with fighting for freedom, liberty, or life, unless you were a German. Today's war, however, is the most easily and most readily dismantled by the people. The answer is so simple in its solution, it evades most. Given that this is a war of technology, if you refused wireless technologies, which includes cell phones and all other wireless devices, you would be living a life of freedom. They would have no control over you. Instead, however, you live life as though your life would not exist, could not exist without your cell phone and wireless devices. That alone is imprisonment, folks. That is leading everyone to the edge of the cliff towards death. The addiction to your wireless devices is leading you there much more rapidly than you could imagine. Please do your own discerning research. Delve deeply and look under the civet and scum, and there you'll find the perpetrators of all of this. You will by now know that the moniker that I used to describe them, that they, is the triple bracket accountants. It does not change, has not changed for thousands of years. Only the details of how war appears to us shifts. The ravages remain the same. The millions of deaths of civilians, of our elderly, of our women and children, and the horrors of the losses of our men, our young men. Today, however, the children are the target, and the effect is becoming more real by each passing day. There are methods called the color of law. This is not law. No one has any authority over your life unless, once again, you give the authority of your own life away. You will hear about mandates, which are nothing more than offers. There is no law. There is no law. There is no law. You will hear about doing your part for the good of others. This was used by the Bolsheviks during the revolution in Russia that destroyed nearly 100 million lives. Christian ethnic Russians, middle class, productive working men, women, and their children. How else do you destroy a culture than by eliminating the middle class? And I ask, where is our middle class today? This whole scam of the so-called bug that is out to kill us all is nothing more than a fabrication designed to terrorize and consume in fear. It is perpetrated by the methods utilized by cult leaders. They wear people down by tension, fear, worry, pharmaceuticals, and whatever else, to the point that you have no fight or discernment to resist, or so they believe. And your critical thinking is replaced by the designs, thoughts, and whims of the cult leader. Does this sound familiar? In this situation today, those cult leaders are politicians, doctors, pharmaceutical companies, CEOs, the World Health Organization, the National Institute of Health, the Center for Disease Control, to name a few. All people and organizations of authority, and have we not been taught to listen and bypass our own authority, but to listen to others? And these are the three brackets around accountants who control these positions, who understand fully well their power by sheer money and position. It is what was known as the method of the choiceless choice. People are led to believe that they are choosing to be good, helpful, part of something, which most people, of course, would wish of themselves. But in reality, they are being led down a path of gullibility to participate in their own death for the good of the world? I think not. People participating in this cult of compliance are in reality participating in the demise of culture and society, and indeed the world as we've known it. A world of integrity, of good Christian values. Of course, the direction we've been heading has been seriously co-opted, but we're now in the position to be able to redirect it as we want our world to be, not as some controlling agency has decided is best for us. We have a choice here. If we are fooled into believing wearing a mask will protect us from the great no thing, nothing, the consequences will be that we not only look beyond foolish, but it is extremely detrimental to our health. But wearing masks has also begun the great unraveling of the scheming scam that created their use. The masks are unmasking the scam. Use this, please. If we choose to live by the true beauty of the human heart, there is nothing that cannot be accomplished. But we really must learn to keep to our vigilance and our courage to defend the unlimited beauties of the human heart and never allow it to be co-opted again. But first, collectively, we must understand and identify the enemy perpetrating this war against us. Of course, we must recognize that there is a war. These two elements will ultimately result in the effective takedown of the enemy once we name them and understand their intention to round us up into their one world order and to take away all of our self-determination by giving us the pittance to live as their indentured servants. Being wisely educated is a key towards acting with the point of a spear at the heart of the enemy. We are at a turning point, and it is up to each and every one of us to choose consciously the direction we want to support. If you choose the direction of fear, a redemption injection, wearing a mask, and sequestering your mind under the umbrella of mind-numbing technology, that at least is your choice, and you make it yourself. If you choose to be free of all offers of benefit under the guise of government's brotherhood and well-being, regardless of the country where you live, understand you have no authority above you other than the one that created you. This is your birthright. No man has any power over us unless we accept their offer to be their slave. Sovereign man and woman come to mind here. And this is not only a choice, but a birthright that is ours. But only if we embrace it and take action to assert this at this moment in our lives and every moment of every day. Whilst we're in the middle of this war, it is important to do your best to not be too attached to the outcome of the battle. I know this isn't easy, but we must do our best to keep to the fight as it unfolds and shifts and changes in its throes. In doing so, we know we'll have fought on the side of life, the greatest of given gifts. We are, after all, here in this beautiful world. It is critical to recognize that we are here because of our ancestors who fought to preserve freedom, which we are at the brink of losing. For those who do not know from where they come, Now is the time to look deeply at your roots, to embrace the sacrifice, bravery, zest for family and community that it took to bring you here today. Your ancestors fought the same overlords, the accountants, then as you are today. I think daily that I am rich and brimming with the sum of all my ancestors and proud to embody them as I stand against this tyranny. I encourage you to stand with me, knowing the full nature of your ancestors and all that they endured and succeeded in order to bring us here today. Not only were they responsible for their many generations of families, but they understood the ethics which held the family sacred. Today, your family is under attack. When you recognize your own responsibility in this long battle against humanity, the family at the core, your children at the center, there is only one choice to make. And that choice is to stand strongly, all the men and all the women, knowing what it took all of us to be here today, and it will take all of us to be here tomorrow, for the sake of your children, their children, and their children's children. Please pass this along to as many folks as you know, and to anyone you know doing this work. We are in a fight for our children's lives. Now is not the time to sit back and watch TV, ignore the truth of what is taking place. Vigilance, education, responsibility, and action come to mind. Over the many years as I have studied history, I have often wondered what it would be like to live during wartime. After all, this country has been in war 227 years of the 234 years since this country was founded. War is a regular occurrence. And today, this World War III is upon us. Now I know what living in war is like. Do you? Do you recognize it? Are you fighting with your entire being for your children's and your freedom? If not, now is the time. This is what war looks like and feels like today. Do not be confused that it looks differently than what you have been taught to expect, differently than what mainstream media tells you, differently than what 80% of the people go around ignoring. This is how it looks. This is it. Because if we do not collectively push back and claim our rights to live freely, they will be usurped. Mark my words. I am posting a link to a child who refused to wear a mask in the body of this YouTube video. She has been refused entry to her school some 37 times. She has resisted wearing a mask. She has said no. And all they do is send her home. Imagine if we all resisted this tyranny and went home. Imagine how free and what power to live our lives we would engage. We are past the 11th hour and it is closing down upon us. But with awareness, resistance, and action, we can turn the tides of this war against humanity. And we will embody all that can set us free. Until next time, thank you for your courage and your action. I want to also let you know that I write letters of exemption to not be jabbed, masked, or tested, etc. Please contact me and I will help you. My email is in the body of this. I also would appreciate donations to my channel, Seaside Reflexology at protonmail.com. Blessings and love to your family and you. Good day.